Hello everyone, Beastie here. I'm back with another video, another little guide for Terran players out there. Today I'll be talking about three things. I'll be talking about marine splitting, army engaging, and army positioning. So this is, I think, the first micro guide that I ever did. So let's start with something that I think most of you know, but maybe not, because there's a lot of guides on marine splitting, but I'm going to give you guys my take on it and how I've split marines in the past and how pro players split their marines as well. So perhaps you can practice and learn as well. Okay, so one thing that I've seen people do is, you know, the Zerg engages and then the Terran like runs in and does this. Only do that if you're caught off guard and you know, you don't have time to split. Usually you don't want to be doing that. So let's grab a couple of more banelings and I'll show you guys how to properly split your marines. So the technique that I used is very simple. First things first, when the pro players are playing and they get caught off guard, what they do is they take about 2-3 marines and they just kind of do this and pre-split their marines, and the Zerg engages and, you know, the marines are split and it's all good. The technique that I used to do and that I love still doing is, I call it a half-half technique. I don't know, I just made that name up. So what I usually do is, when you're about to be engaged by Zerg, what you want to be doing is, instead of micring 2x2 like the pros do, you have a lot of chance to fail. And what I mean by that is, let's say the Zerg is engaging, you split 2, but somehow you mess these up and you don't move them. The army hits this part of your army and you lose all these marines and you don't split 2. Because of that, what I like to do is I like to do the half-half version. So as the Zerg is engaging, I'll take half of my marines, pull them up, and I'll take half of these, split them, and I'll take half of these and I'll split them, and then I'll take half of these, half of these, half of these, and so on. This minimizes the fail potential in your micro against Zerg. And so going from earlier where you split 2 marines and maybe you mess up and lose your whole other bunch of marines, like this, even if you fail one side, you have half of your army still alive. So it's about minimizing the potential for failing. Maybe, you know, you get caught off guard, or you just, you know, want to pre-split your army. I think this is the best way to do it. So it's very simple. Once again, grab your marines, split half, split half, split half, split half, split half, split half, and that is it. Now you're ready to fight. If you get caught off guard, obviously you want to be splitting towards, kind of like running away from the Zerg. So if the Zerg is coming from the right side, you want to be pre-splitting this way. If that makes sense, so it gives you more time till the Zerg arrives. But usually what you want to be doing in the perfect world is pre-split. So don't wait for the main fight and do that. What you want to be doing is, if you see the Zerg armies here, already start pre-splitting a little bit and then engage the Zerg into you, and when the Zerg attacks you can continue your little splits here and get the kind of like the most efficiency out of your marines. The second thing I'm going to be talking about is pretty much the same thing, splitting against banelings, but kind of like how can you engage the Zerg a little bit better. So sometimes you will be adding marauders to your army, and marauders are great against banelings, and what you want to be using them for is kind of just putting them in front, using them as a wall, and then pre-splitting your marines behind them. So when the Zerg army engages, especially in lower leagues, they won't be micring the banelings, they'll just be kind of A-moving. You just stem and then you move your marines to wherever the banelings are running towards. And that is pretty much it. I've seen so many people do this, like, let's say these are, I can just morph into it. I've seen so many people pre-split, right? And then the moment Zerg engages, they're dragging their whole army like this. Don't do that. Just what you want to do, the moment Zerg engages and your army is pre-split like this, hit hold position, stem, and then as the Zerg is coming, just move the sides of the units that are being attacked. Or if it's Marauder, just let them take hold damage. So make sure to remember that. The third thing that I wanted to talk about in TVZ is the siege tank positioning. This is a no-no. Do not siege your tanks like this. A lot of people do that. Don't do that unless you get caught off guard and it's just like, well, might as well siege them. If you're attacking the Zerg hatchery, let's say the Zerg hatchery is here, what you want to be doing is have one tank there, one tank there, one tank there, and just siege them one by one. You can split them even more. This is actually quite a close split. You want to be splitting them even more. So when the Zerg engages, he's kind of like getting drawn into the line of siege tanks, and he can't just kill all the siege tanks at the same time. Now again, we'll be applying the other two things that I mentioned earlier. What you want to be doing is have Marauders in the front, have the buy in the back. I understand my army is way bigger than this Zerg army, but the rule is the same. So when the Zerg engages, stim, hold position, and then if the Baners are coming this way, you'll move these Marines, and that's pretty much it. Another thing, the same rule applies for the Widow Mines, like the siege tanks. Don't put all your Widow Mines on the one spot like here, because the Banelings will kill them. Or what I've seen players do is they make a Widow Mine line like this, and then the units are behind. That's also a mistake, because you make it easy for the Zerg to kind of, oh, those are the Widow Mines, there's none behind, and that's it. Just have a Widow Mine here, a Widow Mine here, Widow Mine here, Widow Mine here. It makes it a lot harder for the Zerg to micro, engage, and split their units. Now we're going to talk about TVP engagements, kind of like same thing I did here, and to kind of help you out how to position and micro your army in TVP. Alright, now it's time for TVP engagements and unit positioning. Now, I've been playing quite a bit of Protoss recently, which you guys have probably noticed on my YouTube channel. And I love to use disruptors, and this is probably the most common mistake that I see people do when they're playing Terran against disruptors, which is they siege up their disruptors. They siege up their tanks like this, something like this, right? They split them. And for example, against Zerg and Banelings and Lings, you want to do this, but when you play against disruptors, you don't. The reason for that is, if I'm Protoss and I see this one tank, I just walk up to it, shoot 2 disruptor balls, and just kill it, and only my shields are damaged. That's it. The way you want to be playing against disruptors as a Protoss is this. So if your army is on the left, Protoss army is on the right, if you make a line of siege tanks, disruptors can't engage. So if I try to kill one of the tanks, all the siege tanks will be shooting, and even if you do manage to kill the siege tank, because you need 2 disruptor balls for 1, you will end up losing your disruptors, which are very, very expensive and very, very important part of the Protoss army. So again, if the disruptors are 2 stacked, they will just pop off instantly, and it makes it a lot harder for you to get proper engagements without losing your disruptors. Because as a Protoss, you don't want to, use Novas and then let disruptors die. You want to kind of save them, and this is one of the ways you can play against disruptors and kind of position your tanks a little bit better. Now, let's talk about main engagements. Now, this is a thing that when I coach people, I've never met anyone that wasn't confused by how to engage Protoss army and how to deal with it. So I'm gonna help you guys out with that. Now, let's assume this is a Nexus, right? And we're trying to push towards the Nexus. So this is the Protoss army, it's defending the Nexus. Number one mistake people do is this. They siege up the Liberators like this. This is a big no-no, because you have so much free surface area for Protoss to move around, and unless this is some kind of choke. In chokes, sure, you can siege up your Liberators like this, because the Protoss army would need to go there. But if this is some kind of open space, never ever siege your Liberators like this, because the Protoss army can just go around and avoid the liberation zones, and you'll kind of be losing Liberators. Maybe he blinks on top, snipes this Liberator, Commander. And this is just a no-no. Yes, sir. Second mistake that I see people do, again, this is a Protoss Nexus, let's assume so, and people siege up Liberators like here. As you say. This is a big, big mistake, and you will lose 2 to 3 Liberators before you even siege up, so that's definitely something you do not want to do. So how do you properly engage? Well, if the Protoss army is here, let's pull him a little closer. Nexus is here. What you want to be doing is start slow. Siege up like this. Look how I'm splitting my liberators. So not stacked up on one spot. You want to cover as much area as you possibly can. So I won't be sieging up more liberators like this. What I'll be doing is I'll be slowly pushing. So I won't be putting them here. That's way too far away. You want to have this liberator cover this liberator behind. So if I siege it up here, look at this. I'm pushing a little bit forward, but if the stalkers wanted to engage this liberator super close, the liberator from behind would be supporting it. But if you siege them up too far away, this liberator is solo and he can get picked up very easily. So again, just a little bit pushing closer and closer. And this is very, very hard for a Protoss to engage in. They can't really do much in GM and Masters. You'll see Protoss with like Colossus like this. So if you try to push in with Bio, they will just hold position Colossus and kill your Bio. So from here on out, you just keep doing the same thing. You're not going to unsiege all the liberators. You're going to move the last couple, move them forward. And you're going to be ready with your Bio army to engage, because Protoss will either engage or they will move a little bit backward. So again, unsiege the last two. You're going to keep pushing until the Protoss army kind of has to either A, engage into you, so you successfully force the Protoss to engage, or you will simply get to your location that you want to be at, which is the Nexus. And right now, another mistake that I see people do, they hold the army like this and they're moving it back and forth like this. So when the Protoss engages, they stem and then they run all the way back, try to kite, and then the Colossus, sorry, not the Colossus, the Stalkers kill all the Liberators, and then you just have Bio left over against like Colossus Storm Disruptors, which is not the place you want to be. So you want to apply the same technique I used in TVZ, which is pre-split your army, have some Marauders in front, and kind of wait for the Protoss to engage into you. That's the advantage of the Terran race to the other two races. You have the siege up potential, whether that's with Widowmine siege tanks or Liberators, and you need to force the opponent to engage into you, because that's where you're strongest. You're not strongest when you're caught off guard and you're sieging as you're getting attacked. This is where you're strongest at. So if the Protoss is being stubborn and he's still not attacking, you're not going to attack his army, you will just attack his Nexus and kind of put him on a timer like, hey, you need to attack or the Nexus is going to go down. So when this happens, eventually the Protoss will engage and you need to be ready for it. So how do you get ready for it? Well, pre-split your units like this. And the reason you do this is a couple of them. So first things first is the obvious one, the AoE. If you pre-split your units like this, if the Colossus attack, they will be shooting this Marauder instead of a clump of 10 Marines, and you will be kind of negating a lot of that damage. Second part is, if you have, like, let's say 2 units here, when he A moves, the Protosses obviously don't micro their Zealots individually, so when he A moves, you might have like 6-7 Zealots run into here, which is completely useless because the other units are all the way to this side. Third thing is, if the Protoss blinks and tries to kill your Liberators, well, you have army everywhere that's ready to kind of burst down the Stalkers and help you save your Liberators. And the third thing, which is not something that a lot of people have talked about, which is the funneling of the units. So what do I mean by that? If you have a group of units like this, right, and then a Protoss attacks from this side, the Protoss army is also like this, let's say. So if you attack, the Terran army will be shooting at all these units, right? The whole front line right here. And the damage will kind of be spread across them from your Bio. But if you pre-split your army like this, let the Protoss engage into you, what will happen is, if I charge these 4 Zealots, they funnel in. You can see they kind of go like one by one in, and if your army is in the concave, you will burst, like all the units will kind of work together and burst one by one without you actually target firing, if that makes sense. It makes sense in my head. So, because the Zealots are running in and they obviously can't run in a perfect, like a soldier line like this. You know, they're not gonna run in like this in a perfect line. There's always gonna be one zealot in front, second one following it like that, and then your units will simply kind of just funnel the Protoss units in this huge concave that will just make them melt. Now, the last thing I want to mention is a lot of people are struggling against Charge Lot High Templar. This is another way to kind of negate that damage. So if you have your units clumped up like this, you guys know if you get stormed, it's probably a game over. So by doing this, you are kind of eliminating the possibility that your whole army gets destroyed. And what you want to be doing is, if there's a lot of charge lots, you can just hold position and stim, kind of like against Link Baneling. But once you get more experience, the perfect situation for you would be to, once the Protoss army engages, you stim, you aim move into the Protoss army and pull back the units that are getting focus fired. The part of your army that's getting charged by the Zealots or getting stormed or Colossus fires or disruptors, you micro those units back. So I'm going to try to show you guys how that looks like. The armies are probably not balanced, so don't pay attention to that. So Protoss army engages. What I'm going to be doing is stim, move in, and then micro the individual groups backwards in order to kind of, again, funnel the Protoss army into your concave, and to just kind of mitigate as much damage as you can from the Protoss AoE. Again, don't do this. It's not worth it. I know it's very tempting, and I know a lot of people have been doing it for a long time. Don't do this. Stim in and then clump up your units and run back. That is a huge mistake, and you will lose the games because of it. So once you stim in, just micro the individual groups backwards, and that is pretty much it. What this will also do is the Protoss army will have to run through the Liberators and while getting DPS down by the bio units. Another thing, the Protoss blinks to the side like here and tries to target fire the Liberators. Take that part of the army and just run into Stalkers and try to kill them as fast as you possibly can. This is it for the engagement micro army positioning guide. I think this is the first micro guide I did. I'm actually not sure, but all of these are kind of like common mistakes that Terran players do. And like I said, when I coach players, they don't really understand how to engage the armies properly, and their micro isn't necessarily bad, their engagements are. So I hope this helps you quite a bit. One thing I want to say is I'm kind of holding back on making build order guides for Terrans and Protosses. The reason for that is the new balance update is coming on November 20th, I think. So a lot of the units will be changed. It's kind of pointless to make the build order guides now because everything is going to be changed in 3 weeks. I have released a build order guide for TVZ, Bio, and Mech, but the reason for that is because I think that build will still be pretty good after the patch. So expect a lot more build order guides after November BlizzCon patch, whatever you want to call it. And that's it. Please let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something new today, and let me know what kind of guides you would like to see next. Again, the build order guides will be coming after the balance patch. But what is something else that you would like to see me talk about and help you guys with? Let me know in the comments below. Once again, thank you for watching. I want you to have a great day, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and make sure to check out one of my previous videos. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Have a very nice day, and I'll see you guys next time.